Tea Time with Mr. Parrish, der Podcast mit Brian Parrish und Sören Rodenberg.
Willkommen zur 8. Auflage von Tea Time with Mr. Parrish. Und Brian und ich haben uns wieder, ich bin zurück in Deutschland, Brian. Glad to see you here.
Guten Tag, Sören. Wie geht es dir?
Your German went excellent while I was away.
It's getting good, isn't it? I've just learned a bit of German. You know, wo ist die Toilette, bitte? You see? That's it. But otherwise, I do English.
Yeah, I'm so glad to be back here, because I don't like this kind of jet set lifestyle. Walk through the airport, seeing the enormous amount of expensive food at the hotel club. And there's a small voice in my head, said, this isn't real somehow. Yeah.
Advertise, advocates.
I should tell you, there's a concert in the Wupswieder Music Hall Wupswieder on the 17th of June. 17. Juni gibt es ein Konzert in Music Hall Wupswieder. You see, I'm doing Deutsch again now.
Brilliant.
And we're going to do the whole of the Shadow Man album live. This is an exclusive for the Music Hall. I'm sure in the future we will do songs from the album. Was sonst? Of course we will. But the whole album is only going to be heard once.
Yes, and not enough advertisement. You can hear the album on the available streaming platforms. Also das Album wurde jetzt gerade veröffentlicht auf den gängigen Streaming-Plattformen, aber wir möchten euch anhalten, die CD wirklich zu kaufen. Und zwar geht das auf der Homepage von Brian auf www.brian-parrish.net.
Storyteller, Mr. Parrish.
Yeah, Brian, I'm curious about a story. It's more kind of experience that you made throughout US tour in the 70s, I guess, with somebody you met.
Yeah, well, I met a lot of people. I talked last time about the show that we saw with Elvis when we were in New York. That was great, But also when I was in New York, we were with Led Zeppelin, who were just like the biggest rock band on the planet at that time. And I was sitting with some of those guys, and I was sitting with Don Everly, one of the guys, one of the brothers of the Everly brothers.
Yes.
And the thing about the Everlys was that, along with Elvis and one or two others, they were really iconic artists. There has never been, even to this day, two harmony voices that combine so fantastically as the Everly brothers. They were just otherworldly. They were magical, completely wonderful. And all it was is I was sitting having a beer with Don, and their time was over. It looked like the Everlys were just consigned to history because this is to do with public tastes, public fad. I mean, your flavour of the month, and next time, whether it's like a fashion thing, I don't know, but the next thing, you're not interesting.
Yeah, so they weren't iconic to the press anymore, but they were iconic to you.
Yeah. Well, I remember when I was playing with Gene Vincent in his band, and he was from the Everly Brothers generation. We used to come out on stage, and all the girls and everything, they were all screaming after us, and only the old kind of rocker people were interested in Gene Vincent. Suddenly he's got this young band, and these were more exciting to the public.
Yes.
Now, I understand that, because young, your hormones are working. Oh, these boys or these girls are sexy, we like them and everything else.
And your hormones worked a lot, I guess.
Yeah, well, okay. My hormones, forget it. I mean, people used to ask me, did you start in music to get lots of girls? No, I didn't. Absolutely not. I went into it for the music, but it didn't stop me having lots of girls. What do you think? I am stupid? No, I mean, so there I was with Don, and I was aware of that I was sitting with an icon, a giant in my view.
Yes,
but his time was. I mean, they were not flavour of the month. I mean, what's interesting about that is later on, not so much. A few years later, I saw them in the Albert Hall with other friends of mine, Albert Lee, who was a great friend, a fantastic
I love him.
guitar
I
player.
love his playing.
Great player. And other Pete Van Hook, who played on my solo album with me, and other people. You know, just Pete Wingfield, I think, was the keyboard player as well. Great band, and the audience were so emotional when the Everlys came out, and I could see a lot of the kind of iconic rock stars of our generation were on their feet clapping the Everly. It was so emotional, you know.
And demütig auf jeden Fall.
Oh yeah. I mean, it was just it was so great. So I mean, I think that I feel that way about such great talent, you know. And it's so. I mean, I've seen some of the great ones. I've been very, very lucky in my generation, but there was almost nobody bigger than the Everlys, and nobody. I mean, I remember Keith Richards from the Stones talking about doing a tour with the Everlys.
Yeah.
And he said that he was just on the side of the stage every night, listening to them and just open-mouthed, you know, with what they did.
Yeah.
And that was the time when suddenly the Stones had a huge hit, and the Everlys said to them, "You know what? You should be top of the bill.
Yes.
And we'll open the show for you." Which was, I mean, that's a huge thing for somebody to say. If you think, and that makes me emotional.
Yeah, that's pure class, I guess.
Very, very classy thing to do.
Yeah, and this thing makes it real for me that every musician has to be a kid inside. You always need a small voice, maybe, but you always need the small kid in you standing in front of the music like a virgin somehow.
Well, maybe you mean that all musicians end up or start out as fans, and we're still fans. I mean,
we're still fans.
I'm about 900 years old now, folks. And I'm the biggest. I'm probably more childlike and more of a fan and more emotional than I ever was. I've got those reference points, which I guess helps me if I'm trying to write. I mean, I'm trying to grow all the time, but I can't walk free from the huge influences that have been there, and I'm grateful. I'm so
grateful. It's the same with me. It's the same with me. I always stay a kid inside, and that's a good thing, a healthy thing to be, I guess. Yeah.
Well, I look at you and I look at me, and I think he is a kid, this one. Where did I go?
Song from the Shadow Man.
It's the same old thing. It's that I always have, which is, where is reality? The character is trying to find, where is the truth in this, you know? And I've always felt that there's a little voice in us that tells us really where the truth is. Now, I don't know if you've ever been about to do something and something in you says, I don't know if this is a good idea.
Yeah, I totally dig with that.
You know?
I think everybody has got this.
Yeah, I think so too. I've got another thing that I try to do as a songwriter, which is if I've got something a little bit heavy to say, I try and wrap it up in what we call hooks in the business, in something that is warm, something that's easy to listen to, something that entertains the ears. So if the song works as I try to make it work, if it works, then I'm moving your hips, warming your ears, but also making you think.
Yes, it's the same thing that Bruce Springsteen did with Born in the USA.
Exactly.
Yeah, a pretty dark theme, but it went into a pop hit somehow. Yeah,
it was a brilliant song.
Yeah,
and I've heard Bruce talking about that. He said people really, and what was great about that is that I think it was Reagan at the time.
Yes,
tried to use this as a campaign song. You know, America is great, and Bruce said he obviously doesn't realise it's a protest against the
war in Vietnam. Yes.
Excuse me, that was a sneeze. We'll edit that out.
No, I loved it.
Oh, you love the sneeze?
Yeah.
Yeah. When I sneeze, it's music, isn't it? It's completely mad. You do know this, ladies and gentlemen. I love him very much, but it's completely mad.
Basically, I think that small voice really fits into the metaphor or the imagery of the concept of a shadow man. Do you think?
Well, yeah, it's all kind of... There's a lot of stuff on this album about the unseen, which has been a preoccupation, a fascination of mine for a long time. What is the nature of fear? That's really Shadow Man. What is the nature of fear? But also, really, Small Voice is about not being manipulated by all of the information and influences that are coming at us, and finding your... It's always the same thing about finding your true self, writing your own story. That's another title from the album. The last part of Small Voice talks about... it says, do you remember when you used to dream before they schooled it all away? You know, I've often felt that the schools, they give you information, stuff that is going to make you fit into society and make money, keep the taxes coming in and blah, blah, blah. But what it can do, it can narrow your focus away from creativity, spontaneity and the real spirit, your inner spirit. It can kill you, you know?
Yeah.
And the next bit of that verse says, they told you were crazy, not as wise as they. But now your spirit yearns for freedom. But you let them put you in these chains. And then it says, this is the payoff line, your days are getting shorter now and the monster is in your brain. So there's a point where, you know, you buy into it and you can't rid yourself of these thoughts. So it's like, this is the song, you could say, is about not becoming a robot.
Yeah.
It's anti-robotism. And listen to the small voice, which we can call God, depending on your religious point of view. I would certainly, I've had experience of the Holy Spirit, and I'm not telling anybody what to believe. That's not my job. But there's something. I mean, the Indians knew about the Holy Spirit and still do.
And now we're going to head out from the Holy Spirit to the Holy Record and the Holy Track. Let's
I love that.
listen. Let's take a listen to the Small Voice. And next week, we're going to hear each other with the song that is called Dark Night of the Soul.
Yeah, now that's a dark metaphor. That's I mean, I like some happy songs. That doesn't sound happy, does it? It's kind of a dark song, but it's got hope at the end of it. You know. Anyway, Small Voice, or we could call it Essex-style reggae. I'm from Essex, by the way. Yeah. See you next time, folks.
Have fun.
In these city streets, you can lose your way. The truth is hard to find. There's a storm raging inside your head. It would be easy to lose your mind. And 1,000 voices calling you with promises of gold. As you stumble through this world of pain, where dreams are born and sold. As churches casting shadows, hidden secrets in the stone. Did you hear the sound of footsteps as you wore the night alone? There were words of ancient wisdom, but they're sealed behind a wall. Maybe they could help you now if you could just recall. Listen to the small voice, a whisper behind the noise, like a candle in the darkness, an echo in the void. Listen to the small voice, whenever you make a choice, it will guide you home if you listen. Listen. You see billboards, you see neon signs, information all alone, and you feel a sense of hopelessness. So much wreckage on the road. You don't know where to lay the blame for for what you have become? Will you spend your precious time, my friend, looking for the smoking gun? Listen to the small voice, a whisper behind the noise, like a candle in the darkness, an echo in the void. Listen to the small voice, whenever you make a choice, it will guide you home if you listen. Listen, listen, remember when you used to dream before they schooled it all away? How they told you you were foolish and not so wise as they. Now your spirit longs for freedom, but you let them put you in these chains. Your days are getting shorter now, and the monster is in your brain. Listen to the small voice and whisper behind the noise, like a candle in the darkness, an echo in the void. Listen to the small voice, whenever you make a choice, it will guide you home if you listen. Listen to the small voice, a whisper behind the noise, like a candle in the darkness, an echo in the void. Listen to the small voice, whenever you make a choice, it will guide you home if you listen. Listen, listen. If you listen, listen.
Tea Time with Mr. Parrish, der Podcast mit Brian Parrish und Sören Rodenberg.